because of her profession.
Friends don't think she had any enemies and remember her as kind and gentle.
Everybody loved her. Nobody ever.
Positive.
I can't remember her fighting with anybody ever.
No
in our life,
conflict.
ever.
No drama.
And you wonder, she's 33 years old. She leaves L.A. and comes back home, and for a short time before she's murdered is living back with her parents. Was she running from someone in L.A.? Was she hiding out? What exactly was going on? How are investigators going to solve this one? Let's bring back in our think tank. Joseph Lowe, I want to start with you. There is a California connection here. She was in L.A. for quite some time, came back. The story is sort of that it's very expensive to live out in L.A., and she came back. She's having some financial issues. But do you think investigators should be looking at her life in L.A. as well right now?
Absolutely. That's where she's doing the majority of her work and gambling. You can bet that they'll be looking there. And in fact, there is quite an extensive network of professional gamblers in that area. There'll be a lot of people for them to interview. A lot of folks are going to be wanting to talk to, and you can imagine what they're looking for. They're looking for some folks who may have lent her some money, which is not uncommon in these professional poker players. Oftentimes they will get stakes from players as well as investors, and they're going to want to talk and find out if someone didn't have some sort of connection to her to see if she had made good on either a bet or on a stake that was given to her and she wasn't participating.
Kimberly Bandeau, her friends have spoken out, and we heard some of them talk there, and none of them heard anything from her about this. Would you expect her, she's 33 years old, she's traveling around a lot. Would you expect if she was caught up in a situation that she would share it with friends, or do you think that's something that she might keep to herself, which may make it a little bit more difficult to uncover here?
Go ahead.
It's getting dark.
Yeah, so I absolutely think that she would keep that to herself. In fact, when I meet with my clients, I meet with them and their family initially. Then I always make everyone leave the conference room and I meet with my client, because there are a lot of things that you won't tell your family and friends, and that you have to tell your lawyers that they can help you. So I'm pretty sure whatever lifestyle she was living, they didn't know the deep, dark world of gambling. And so they have no idea what she was running from, that she ran back home. And I believe it probably does have a lot to do with gambling and some kind of debt that she owed and was unable to pay.
Jennifer Brandt, this is it's a tragic story. She loved playing poker. She had a huge personality. That's the other thing that people have talked about, is her personality and how full of life she was. And to me, the curious part of all of it is leaving LA, coming back. Nothing wrong with Michigan, but just looking at the life she was living, the type of person she was, it seems like she was getting away from something.
I don't know, Stephen. I disagree with you. I think maybe it was something at home, because it seemed like she had a pretty good life in LA, and she left because she had some financial issues, went home. Maybe she was depressed. Maybe there was something going on with home. Maybe she ran into some people there that were not the best people. I think they should look also closer to home and what was going on in that month that she was there. Everyone said she was so happy and free and, a really great personality, big personality, and seemed pretty happy with her life. Then she went home and this tragedy happens. So I disagree with everyone. I think you need to look at what happened in that last month of her life and who she was meeting up with and who she was interacting with right there in Michigan.
Joseph, the other part of this is her remains were burnt. What does that tell you about the person or persons that we're looking for?
That tells me that they're trying to hide who did it. You simply have to watch CSI these days, and you see that every single time someone wants to ruin a crime scene, they'll either blow it up with chlorine bleach or they'll set it on fire because they're afraid that their DNA will be left behind in the form of a hair follicle, skin cell, a variety of different things. So that tells me that somebody wanted to cover their tracks.
I want to take one more listen to some of her friends, and we have two of them, Bart Hansen, Yuval Bronstein, who spoke just briefly, just to give you a flavor of what her friends are saying. Let's take a listen to both of them.
I never would have thought that anybody would want to do anything to her.
Surprised, confused, and saddened. It's hard for me to picture her having enemies.
I don't know if there's ever a time that people aren't surprised, Kimberly, when a friend or a loved one is murdered and murdered in such a way, unless, you know, you're in the family. When I say the family, I mean like the family, right? You just don't expect things like this to happen.
No, you don't. And I genuinely think that whatever happened to her, I think it has something to do with gambling debt, because burning somebody up, I think that that's actually kind of personal. And also, in addition to covering up evidence, but like you can just shoot somebody and kill them, but to actually take the time to make sure you burn their corpse so the family doesn't even have a body to bury, that seems like that's more than just a common person run on the sidewalk and decide to rape her or kill her or whatever reason. So I think that it has a lot to do with something that her family and friends don't know about, that she hid from them very well, possibly because she didn't want them to know what she was going through.
All right, when we come back, we're going to switch gears. We're going to hear from you, the 13th juror, talking about Lori Vallow Daybell. Where's Lori? Where in the world was Lori? Didn't show up to court yesterday, but the big question is why? Your